The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us this morning for the launch of our WIN-911 mobile beta program. This is Stephen Rivas. I'm the product manager at WIN-911. I also have Cody Ban, the director of engineering, and Ben Williams, one of our software engineers, joining us. They're here to answer any of the technical questions that I won't be able to handle. So throughout the webinar, feel free to submit questions in the GoToWebinar application there. You'll see there's a question section. So again, if you have any questions, just write them down in there. We'll either respond to some of them throughout the webinar, but we'll try to tackle them at the end if we have time. So we're launching the WIN-911 mobile beta program, and a few weeks ago I was setting up a demo system for a conference I was attending, and a demo system for WIN-911 mobile, and I was worried about the internet connection situation at the venue. So if you've ever set up a demo at one of these conferences, you never know what you're going to get when you show up. So I decided I would go ahead and bring one of those network hotspots you can use, just in case it didn't work. But I found that after I booted the system, connected to the conference Wi-Fi, and booted my VM, everything was working and I didn't have to change anything at all, which is a far cry from the way it used to be, specifically with mobile 911, where that was almost unheard of. So that got me thinking about a bit of our mobile app history. And if you're not aware of the history of mobile 911, I can take you through that real quick. In 2008, we released our first mobile app. It was called Mobile 911 V1. It was for Windows mobile devices and BlackBerry phones with the trackball. So you primarily interacted with the app through that direction pad and trackball. And if you had a Windows mobile device, it also supported the touchscreen. So some of the archaic early touchscreens you could use. And these apps weren't internet connected. Rather, they used SMS as a primary connection. You had to send messages to your phone, and the app just served as kind of a front end. So you didn't have to manually respond to these text messages. You could interact with the app. If you wanted to ask something, it would send an SMS message in response. But because it didn't connect to the internet, that meant that you had to have your own cellular modem. So you had to go buy a cellular modem, set it up with your cellular provider, and then configure all of that in WIN-911. So it wasn't a simple process. And then by 2010, Apple and Android devices started to take over the market, and we knew that we were going to have to create a replacement. So we started work on Mobile 911 version 2, and these were both, they were pretty different from the early version of Mobile 911, or the first version of Mobile 911. These were internet connected apps, which meant you could use Mobile 911 anywhere in the world, as long as you had an internet connection. But because it was internet connected, it introduced a whole host of other issues or security issues that people are primarily concerned about. For example, the mobile 911 system uses a inbound, or was pretty much a web server, a mobile 911 server that always listens to inbound connections. So you'd have to work with your IT team, argue with them really to get them to create port forwarding for you, and create firewall exceptions to allow any traffic through a particular port to your system, which today is kind of unheard of, and we're finding that more and more of our users don't want to implement mobile 911 due to that requirement. And in 2014, we released the new WIN-911 platform. At the time, we were calling it WIN-911 Enterprise. Today, we call it WIN-911 Standard, Interactive, and Advanced. I'm mentioning this primarily because our new WIN-911 mobile application only supports this version of WIN-911. If you're a version 7 customer, you won't be able to use the new mobile app with with the older version of WIN-911. And then in 2018, we surpassed 8 million push notifications sent through our push proxy server. Those servers are what allows us to send push notifications to you through our mobile 911 app. When we first released mobile 911, we were concerned that the adoption rate would be pretty low, but as time went on, we started to build more and more momentum to people implementing those systems. But I think the time has come to replace mobile 911 with a new app, which brings us to today, which is what we're doing. We're launching our new WIN-911 mobile beta application, and we're asking for your help to make sure that's the best release. We have the best release we can do. So the agenda for today, we're going to talk about a little bit about the beta program. We're going to talk about how you can provide feedback to us about the app and the usability of the app and what's in it for you. So we have some participation prizes you can win. We'll go over the WIN-911 mobile features one by one there, not all of them, but a majority of them. Then we'll talk about how you can participate in the mobile beta program. I'll do a really quick live demo of how you can set up your WIN-911 system with WIN-911 mobile. So it's much quicker than what you had to do for mobile 911. And if we have time, we'll do a Q&A section. So why are we doing the beta release? Well, the primary purpose is to collect feedback about the usefulness and functionality of mobile, so we can be sure that we've built a product that you guys want to use and our customers want to use. And we plan on doing this by asking you guys for your feedback and asking you to submit all your feedback through our in-app feedback tools that we built into the product, which I'll show you here in just a moment. And we'll also be sending out email surveys to ask you about particular features and what you think about them, what things we can change, whether you use the feature or you're not interested in it at all, just general questions about the product. So when we do release it to the public, we can be sure that we've built something that our customers want to use. And we also want to identify any defects and quality issues before we release it. Our QA team could test forever in their test labs, but we won't know how the mobile app's going to behave in real world environments until we get it in your hand. So you can install it and let us know what type of issues you come across when you're deploying the system. So there are two ways to submit feedback. The first method would be through the mobile app. So in the app itself, you'll be able to submit feedback directly to us. You can submit feature ideas or issues you come across. And for the WIN-911 installation and setup, there is no feedback tool there. So we'll ask that you just send your feedback either directly to me, or you can send it to the email address I have on the screen, beta@win911.com. And then we'll follow up with you to talk about that feedback and ways we can solve any problems you're coming across. So the feedback tool, you'll find it in the app, like I mentioned. On the right side, I've got a screenshot of the mobile app in Android. So all you need to do is open the app, go to the feedback tool. You'll be asked what you want to do, report a problem or suggest an improvement, and then you'll come to another screen where you can write whatever you want to write. You can add screenshots directly from the app. You can record your screen. You can annotate those screenshots. So if maybe there's one particular thing on the screen you'd like to move or you don't like the way it looks, you can edit those screenshots directly in the app. And then once you submit those to us, like I said, we'll follow up with you guys to make sure we're addressing any problems that you have. So this is where the feedback is located in the iOS app. I think you're going to notice through my presentation, most of the screenshots I have are from Android. That's just because I have an Android device. But every option that you see in the Android system is also in the iOS version. It just may be in a different spot. So just be aware of that. So to get you guys to submit more feedback, what we decided to do is have a participation prize raffle for you. So for every piece of constructive feedback you submit, we'll go ahead and enter your name into a raffle. So the more feedback you send to us, the more entries into the raffle you'll get. And we're going to close the beta on July 1st. So at that time, what we'll do is we'll randomly select the winners, maybe print them all out and pull them out of a hat or something like that. Not totally sure how we'll do that. But what can you win if you do participate? The first thing we're giving away is an iPad Pro. I'm not going to go ahead and read through all the specs of the iPad, but we have one of these available, and we'll be giving that away. We'll also be giving away Amazon gift cards. We have $500 or five $100 Amazon gift cards that we'll be giving out. If you happen to win a gift card and you're in a part of the world that you can't use an Amazon gift card, we'll work with you to get something equivalent. We're also giving away some Yeti Rambler cups that are custom made with the WIN-911 mobile logo, so you can make everyone jealous in your office. We have 5 of these available too. Now, that one thing about the prizes that you get, if you get as many entries as you want, or as many entries as feedback that you submit, but you can only win one prize. Okay, so some of the beta program details. The beta is starting today, so May 1st, and we're going to close it on July 1st, so it's going to run for 2 months. We're supporting phones and tablets, so the new app is formatted well for both devices. If you use mobile 911, then you know that's not the case for the older app. We're supporting Android versions 5.1 and newer, and for iOS we're supporting 10.4 and newer. And that number for iOS, we may change that for the public release to 11 and newer. We'll probably reach out to you guys to figure out which versions of iOS you're using, just to make sure that we're okay to move up and stop targeting an older version. To use if you're going to install WIN-911 and set it up with the mobile app, you need to be using 3.19.7, which is a specific release just for the beta program. Following the webinar, you'll be sent an email with a download link for that. Version 7 is not supported, so if you're using version 7 and you're not familiar with the WIN-911, the newer platform, this is your opportunity to learn and become familiar with it. We don't recommend that you run the beta on a production system. It is beta, so we may have to take our system down from time to time to do updates or any kind of maintenance. So we can't guarantee the uptime of our web servers during the beta. So please don't run this on a production system, or if you do, at least have some backup notification methods beyond the WIN-911 mobile app. Few more details here. If you do install 3.19.7, we're not going to make it upgradable, or at least we're not testing it. So please, if you install it, don't try to upgrade it later on. If you have an existing WIN-911 system, don't upgrade it with this new version either. Our goal here is for you to install this version of WIN-911 on a standalone box that's never had WIN-911 on it before, and when the beta is over, you'll be throwing that away. If you need any help or assistance setting up WIN-911 Mobile, our product support team is going to be available. When you call in for support, just let them know that you're participating in the beta program, and they'll be happy to help you. You're also free to reach out to myself if you have any questions about the app or any configuration steps. We're not supporting a distributed mobile server with the beta program. Again, if you're familiar with mobile 911, you know we've got the mobile 911 server, which can be separated from the WIN-911 installation. For example, you would run WIN-911 on your control network, and you'd run the mobile 911 server on your in your DMZ. That particular architecture we're not supporting for the beta. We'll have a solution for that once we release it to the public later this year, but again, for the beta, we're not supporting that particular setup. The apps are going to be only available in US English. When we launch the apps later this year, we'll be sure to have other languages, or have the app translated into other languages. So if you do want it to be in another language, we should have, I think it's 11, we target 11 different languages, the same languages we target for the UI. All right, so the first thing I wanted to talk about regarding the mobile app is the architecture of the whole program. So there's essentially three parts or three components to WIN-911 Mobile. There's more than that, but from a high-level overview, there are three components. The first part would be the actual WIN-911 runtime or the WIN-911 system that's on the left there. We have the WIN-911 mobile app, so that's iOS or Android apps. And then we have our web app that we're hosting in Azure, so the WIN-911 mobile app, web app. So when you start up the WIN-911 system, what it's going to do is it wants to talk to the WIN-911 mobile app, but the WIN-911 mobile app is protected by Azure Active Directory, or uses Azure Active Directory as an identity provider. So the first thing WIN-911 is going to have to do is go ahead and sign in to Active Directory, and you're going to sign in with these accounts that we provide to you. They're all going to be on the win911mobile.com domain. So again, following the conclusion of the webinar, we'll be sending you guys an email with your personal account for setting up WIN-911. So you have an email address and a password that you can use to sign in. So once you sign in and are authenticated by Azure, you're going to get an access token, and then that access token can be used to talk to the WIN-911 mobile app. So again, we're administering these accounts. You can change the passwords to these accounts and do whatever you like with them. However, for the WIN-911 mobile app, we're not doing that. We didn't want to take on the challenge of administering all these different accounts for every single operator that plans to use WIN-911 mobile. So what we're doing here is when you add a contact to the WIN-911 system, what's going to happen is we're going to send or what you have to do when you add a contact to the WIN-911 system is provide an email address. And when you enter that email address, what's going to happen is an email invitation is going to be sent to them. And if that email address is associated with a Microsoft account, and that could be an Office 365 account, it could be a Hotmail account, it could be an Outlook.com account. These are all in Microsoft's backend, technically Active Directory accounts anyway. Then the invitation is just going to say, do you want to access the WIN-911 mobile web app? If you don't have a Microsoft account associated with the email that you enter, then it's going to walk you through the steps of creating a Microsoft account. And when you create that Microsoft account, you'll use that account in the WIN-911 mobile app to access the WIN-911 mobile app. So once you have that set up, it's going to go through the same process. You'll get that token, and now you're communicating with the WIN-911 mobile web app, which the WIN-911 mobile or the web app, its primary purpose is to function as a two-way proxy. We're not storing any personal data up in the cloud. The only thing that we are keeping track of are routes between WIN-911 systems and the devices that you're logged into, so we know where to send alarms and push notifications. Again, that web app, in order to access it, you have to be authenticated through Microsoft. All our web traffic is using HTTPS, and it's outbound initiated. And if you're not familiar with outbound initiated traffic, it's primarily important because when you set up a system, a firewall doesn't typically care about the direction of the traffic, whether it's one way or bi-directional. What it actually cares about is where the request originated from. So when you launch the WIN-911 system, it's sending a request out to our Azure server and making a connection rather than listening for inbound connections. So you don't need to create any firewall exceptions. You don't have to do any kind of port forwarding to get the system to communicate. Also, the HTTPS traffic we're using, it's all protected with Microsoft signed SSL certs. We're not managing that. It's all managed by Microsoft. Access to your WIN-911 configuration is controlled within WIN-911, or access to your WIN-911 system is controlled within WIN-911, meaning you can't get alarms or interact with the WIN-911 system unless your particular account is added to that system. Once you remove them from that system, they no longer have access to your WIN-911 system. Again, we're not storing any private data in our web app. All your personal data is stored locally in your WIN-911 SQL instance. So whenever you install WIN-911, we're setting up a SQL Express instance, and all your information, alarm information, will be stored there, not within our cloud app, our web app. Now we'll talk about a couple of the features of the WIN-911 mobile application. The first thing are push notifications. So push notifications are what will alert you to new alarm activity, whether you have a report that's been pushed to you. You can chat within the app. So if someone's chatting on an alarm that you have been notified about, you'll get updates about those chat messages. The push notifications, they're going to show you details about the alarms, and if the alarm's unact, you can actually act it directly from the push notification. There's no need to actually open the app. If you tap on one of these push notifications, it'll actually open the app and go straight to that particular alarm. If you were pushed a report, it would do the same thing. You can customize the format of these pushes by changing the format within the app, and talk about that in a little bit. The ringtones that we're using for iOS, we're packaging a few ringtones into the iOS app that you can select. So if you're not happy with the default ringtone for push notifications on Apple devices, you can choose one of those sounds that I think the longest one's 30 seconds, and they're significantly louder than the default ringtone that Apple provides. For Android, you can select any sound that you want, whether it's an MP3 or WAV file. Android lets you choose any of those files. Next feature we're to talk about is Do Not Disturb mode. We get a lot of requests for WIN-911 to allow operators to change their schedule within WIN-911, and that's primarily because they want to stop notifications. So what we decided to do is build in a Do Not Disturb mode, and the purpose of Do Not Disturb is to temporarily suspend the push notifications coming to your device. You'll still be able to open the app at any time and interact with any of the alarms that have been escalated to you. You're just not going to receive the push notifications. Your phone's not going to ding while you're set into Do Not Disturb mode. To turn it on, all you need to do is set a date that you want to resume. So we force you to set a time to resume because we don't want you to permanently put yourself in Do Not Disturb and then say not getting any push notifications. Well, it's because you're in Do Not Disturb mode. So if you set a date, you can then set a time, and then your Do Not Disturb mode will be turned on. So now you'll stop receiving push notifications on your particular device. Next thing is the alarm summary. This is what I think most people will be looking at. This is a dynamic list of all the alarms that have been sent to you. In Mobile 911, you had an alarm summary, and the alarms that would come into that summary would not leave once they entered a terminal state. The new mobile app will clear alarms out as their strategy terminates. So strategy controls the notifications for a particular alarm event or alarm lifetime. And if that strategy stops, that WIN-911 no longer cares about that alarm, and so we clear them out of your alarm summary list. The format of the summary is customizable, so you can go into the format section of the app and change the format that the summary will display in. So you can move different alarm properties around. For example, if you were looking at multiple WIN-911 systems, maybe you want to put the site name in front of the alarm name so that you know which site these alarms belong to. So this is another screenshot of what the summary looks like within the iOS app. So just wanted to show you both examples there. All the events that you'll see in the summary are sorted by their most recent events. So most recent events at the top, and older events are at the bottom. I'm also including these alarm state icons so that you can easily see what state the alarm is in without having to tap on it and open it and read the details. When you do open up one of the alarms, you can see the alarm details, and that's what this looks like. This is the events tab within the app. So this is going to show you more detailed information about the alarm. You can see here I've only got 3 things turned on in my format, so it's fairly basic view that you can see. But this is, you can customize the format of the alarm events that show up. It's going to show you the history of any alarms, of the alarm states of this particular alarm lifetime. So as the alarm goes in and out, you'll be able to see, or when it gets acknowledged, you'll be able to see the history within the mobile app. If you tap, you can see in my example on the right, you've got older alarm state changes. If you tap one of those, you'll be able to expand that view and see the details of that particular update. Again, the format's customizable. You can select other attributes to turn on, or alarm properties to turn on or turn off, or reorder them. And these events are also sorted by most recent event, where the most recent event will be at the top and the older ones are at the bottom. And this is what it looks like in the iOS app. So it's fairly similar. Acknowledgements. You can acknowledge alarms within the mobile app, and when you acknowledge them, you can provide an optional comment. So if you want to talk to the other team members at your plant, you can go ahead and write something in there. When you hit act, they'll be able to see that comment that you leave. So you can see in that example, I now have a comment there that says I'm heading to the plant now. And when you act something, if you're not familiar with WIN-911, if you're using one of our direct connects, when you act in WIN-911, those acts are passed all the way back to the SCADA system. You can also do a multi-select of alarms if you want to act multiple alarms. So from the summary, you can select multiple alarms there and then hit the act icon at the top of the summary. When you do that, you can still put in an optional comment, and when it acknowledges, you'll see that comment shows up for those particular alarms. If you don't want your users to be able to acknowledge alarms, you can disable that in your WIN-911 configuration. As you create new contacts, what you'll do is just turn that option. Well, the default setting is to be off, and then just make sure you don't turn it on for that particular user. We also support chats within the app. If you want to talk to the other operators receiving alarms within the context of the alarm, you can do so. Again, if you received an alarm and then another operator receives the alarm and they start chatting to you, you'll receive push notifications that alert you that there are new messages for you to look at. Every alarm instance has its own chat room, if you want to think of it that way. When an alarm goes away, that chat is going to go away. So we're not storing the chat history long term. It's per lifetime or per alarm lifetime. Next tab is the team tab. This is where you can see who else has been sent the alarm and whether they've seen it. In the example on the right, you can see I've sent the alarm to demo user 1 and demo user 2. The first user, which is the app that I'm using at that time, has seen the alarm. The other user has not seen the alarm, and you can see on the left that there's an icon with an alarm bell with the line through it. That means they're in do not disturb mode, which is likely why they haven't seen it. I don't have a screenshot of it, but you can also tap those users and see specifically what time they looked at it and what time they opened the app. So that's the team tab. Next, we'll talk about reports. Reports are, it's a list of different alarm items or data items that show you real-time process values and alarm states. So these are configured within WIN-911. And when you load up the app and go to your report list, you'll see all the reports in your WIN-911 system. In Mobile 911, you had to manually add these reports one by one. And if the report number changed, you'd have to go change it in your app, and it was kind of a pain to do the maintenance on those reports. But now if you add a new report to WIN-911, go to report list, it's automatically there in your mobile app. You can also push reports to your system so that when an alarm occurs, for example, you can also send an associated report with that alarm, and you'll get a push notification for that. And if you tap on it, it will open up the report, and you can see all the information contained within that report. And also with reports, you can change those formats. I didn't mention that, but you can you change the formats there, and you do that with the format editor. And this screenshot on the right, I'm showing you the format for the alarm details. This is for the Android app. You can enable and disable alarm properties on the screen, and then you can reorder them using the up and down arrows on the right. So if you don't like something or you think it's too much information, or you want more information about your alarm, just come in here and add or remove particular alarm attributes. So this is the only notifier where you can change your formats within the app or the notification method. If you're using email, SMS, or voice, you have to edit those within the WIN-911 system. So we commonly hear that our users want to make it easier to edit the format. So I think this makes it pretty simple for someone to come in and change their format without needing to talk to an SI or a plant manager. They can just do it right in their app and not have to talk to anyone about it. Next is alarm request. You can request alarms at any time. So typically in your alarm summary, you're going to see alarms that were sent to you. If you want to request alarms that exist in the system that you weren't sent, you can do that with an alarm request. You're requesting alarms by certain criteria, so you can request them by the alarm state, severity, or with an alarm label. If you're connecting to multiple WIN-911 systems, you can select that specific system that you want to connect to. You can also select those labels, like I said. So if you select one of those, you'll receive the alarms that are wearing those particular labels. Another use case for alarm requests is if you are coming on to schedule in the morning and you want to get a snapshot of the plant when you walk in, you can do an alarm request and you'll receive all the active alarms or all the unactive alarms really in your system. And so you can again see a snapshot of what's going on in your plant. So you can see an example of an alarm request. It'll show up there. You can say okay. We also allow you to share alarm details in the app. If you hit a menu or the icon on the top right, you'll be able to hit share, and then you'll be able to share the alarm details with any of the social apps that you use on your phone. So if I wanted to send that via email, I could tap Outlook. It generates an email, and I can send that to whoever I need to. So I kept mentioning that you can connect to multiple WIN-911 systems. With the new mobile app, you can connect to as many WIN-911 systems as you want. You could technically do that with mobile 911, but it was very tedious to set up, and all the WIN-911 systems had to be within the same network. All these WIN-911 systems that you're going to connect to could be anywhere in the world, and you'll still be able to access them through one app. You can also enable and disable sites within your app as needed. So maybe one of your plants has gone down for maintenance, so you don't need to see alarms within your app. Well, you could turn that system off and they'll disappear out of your summary and you don't need to see those. You also won't receive notifications from that system. Here's just an example of what it looks like in iOS as well. It's in the settings menu there. To add yourself to be able to communicate with multiple WIN-911 systems, all you have to do is have the WIN-911 administrator add you to those other systems, and that's it. Next time you open the app, that system will show up in your app, and that's the extent of it. So it's very simple to do. All right, so that was a quick run through of some basic features in the app. So how can you participate in the beta program? There are two ways to do so. One, the simplest way is to use our demo WIN-911 system. We've created a system, a demo system in Azure. We'll talk about that in just a second that you can use. And the other option is to install and configure WIN-911 for yourself. So we'll be sending an email at the end of the webinar. You'll have a download link. You'll download it, install WIN-911 and configure it, and it can communicate with, or you can set it up with your WIN-911 mobile app. So the demo system, you can log in once you download the app. When you download the app and run it for the first time, you'll see this screen. On the bottom, it'll say don't have a WIN-911 system. Go ahead and use the demo. There are 20 demo slots that are available. If all 20 slots are used up, you won't be able to log in, and you'll get an error about that. Just try again later, and you should be able to log in. Once you log in, we're forcing logouts after 15 minutes to make sure the slots are available for other people to use. You can log right back in if you want to. So anytime you need to demo the app for someone, you just open the app, choose use demo, and you'll be able to log in and start receiving alarms. If you're receiving too many notifications or it's starting to bother you for 15 minutes, you can go ahead and log out. You don't have to wait for the 15 minutes to expire before you'll stop receiving notifications. And I promise you're going to do that after. I can tell you personally, you're going to do that, as I get pretty tired of getting alarm notifications on my phone for every 30 seconds for 15 minutes. So that's the demo server is configured to trigger an alarm update every 30 seconds. So every 30 seconds, there will be a new alarm update. You can open the app and see that in the alarm summary. If you close the app, you'll start to receive push notifications. The WIN-911 system that you're connecting to is running in an Azure VM. It's using OPC for simulated alarms, so we're not doing any direct connects or data sources for the system. So this demo system will be available past the beta as well, so we don't have plans to remove it. So we plan for it to be there for the lifetime of the WIN-911 mobile product. So yeah, once you log in, you'll see a window or a dialog like this. You'll see also in iOS that's just telling you you'll be logged out after 15 minutes. Now, when you download the app today, when we send the email out and you log in, there is a known issue where if you let your phone go to sleep while you are logged in, technically you won't be logged out till you open the app again. So you'll receive push notifications for a while. We plan to fix that, but we didn't want that to stop us from launching the beta. So just be aware of that. If you receive push notifications past 15 minutes, just open the app again and it will time you out, and you'll stop receiving those notifications. All right, so the other option is to install and configure WIN-911. Again, I'm going to send you an email with the download links. In that email, you'll have a quick start guide that will walk you through setting up WIN-911 and WIN-911 mobile. The email that I send will have a WIN-911 mobile gateway login, so that at win911mobile.com account. So I have to manually send all these emails out to you guys, and this account is unique to you. And you can only use it for one WIN-911 system. So if you set this up and you want to use additional or set up additional WIN-911 systems, just let me know and I'll send you another login. Don't use the same login on multiple WIN-911 systems. It's not going to work. At the end of the beta program, we're going to disable those accounts so it'll stop working at that time, so on July 1st. The install is using a 30-day demo license, so it'll run for 30 days. In that email, I'll include a download link for additional 30-day licenses and some instructions for how to apply those. So if you do want to demo it for longer, I believe you'll be able to demo it for 90 days, or it might be 120 days. I don't recall how many extensions we have available for you guys. All right. So now I'll try and do a quick demo for you of how you would set up the mobile gateway. So give me just a moment to switch over my screen. And my mouse has stopped working. There it goes. Wrong way. All right, Cody, can you see that?
Yep.
All right, cool. All right, so when you install WIN-911, this is what you'll have. It's a typical interface for the system. And you'll notice under contact, you have mobile. So the first thing you need to do is set up your gateway. I've already set that up because I've created an account previously. So what you'll do here is you'll put in a site name. This site name could be anything you want. This is what's going to show up in the app as where the alarms originated from. Then you're going to put the username and password in here. Now, when we send you the account details or the account credentials for you to use, you will have to first change the password because it's a requirement of the Azure accounts that we created. I'll include a link for you to log into Microsoft's website, and then it will ask you to create your own password. Once you go through those steps, then you'll be able to go ahead and put it in here, and then you can click Validate Credentials and make sure that you're able to log into Active Directory. I didn't make any changes, so I don't need to save anything. So once you have that set up, you just need to go to Connections and add a new connection. Because I wanted to show you guys the process of adding a Microsoft, if you don't have a Microsoft account, what that will look like, I went ahead and created this Gmail account. It's win911beta@gmail.com. So if I click on add a new user, put in a name, I'll put beta user for the name. You can put anything you like there. And then I'll put in that email address that I created. The schedule will be always, and then you can go to app options. The default's to not allow it, so I want to be able to acknowledge alarms. And then I'll go ahead and click save. So what happens now is Win911's going to send a request up to Azure to invite this particular user into the Win911 system. So if everything goes according to plan, we'll get an email popping into our inbox here shortly. And it's Microsoft sending us this email, so it should just take a moment. So you can see it appeared here. So if we click on it, you'll see what is displayed to you. So it's telling you you've been invited to access our web app or to use our web app, and I don't have an account with this. So when I click Get Started, it's going to ask me to create an account. Oh yeah, if you had an Office 3, let's say you had a Microsoft account, it was an Office 365 account, for example, which is what we're using primarily in the office. Everyone at Win911 has Office 365 account. You would just get you'd get a different email, I think, that just says, do you want to allow access to this web app? And once you click allow, then you're free to use that account within the app. All right, so it knows that I don't have a Microsoft account associated with this email address, so it's going to ask me to create one. So I have to create a password, which I'm sure it's going to tell me it can't use. Okay, so now it wants me to verify my email address, so I'll go over here. And the code is 5342, I'll just enter it. And if you don't like spam like me, uncheck this box and click next. And now watch me try this a bunch of times. I think that's a W. I've never had 2 rows of them. VWL5. All right. And of course, it doesn't work. 5MW4. KN. Did it take it? All right, there you go. So if you already have an Office 365 account, this is the first page you'll see when you click the link from the email. And it's going to say review the permissions. It wants to be able to authenticate you, and you just click accept. And once this is accepted, you'll now be able to log into the Win911 mobile app. So what I'll do that now on my phone. Let's see if I got my deal still working here. Oh, moved it over to the other screen, which actually doesn't look very good. So there it goes. All right, so here we go. I can open the WIN-911 app and log in. And I forgot the email address already. WIN-911 beta. And you'll be required to enter a password, which I use a password I don't want you guys to see. So we'll minimize that. All right, I'll bring it back up. All right, so now I'm logged in and I can see that beta, I'll call it a wastewater treatment plant. But I don't have any alarms because no alarms have been sent to me yet. So if I want to request alarms, I can do that up here in the menu at the top. Let me move this up so it's not in the way. Do alarm request. I only have one gateway, so I don't have to select one. I want all alarms, so I'll just click send, and it's going to go to WIN-911 and request the alarms. I have two alarms. I only have two alarms configured in the system, and so you can see both of those here. I can tap on one. See the details about the alarm. It just changed state right there. So I can choose a new state and hit act. I can put in a comment if I want, act the alarm, and now you can see the beta user act the alarm through the mobile app. There's no one to chat to, but you'd chat here. You can see who the alarm was sent to. It's just me. If you tap on that, you can see when different events occurred. If I want to change the format of the alarm, I can do so here by enabling and disabling certain items and moving them around within my list. If an item is empty, it won't be displayed in the alarm details. That's why you see more things entered here than what we're showing up. So if I say I don't want native severity or the value, I can turn those off, and I can add, I don't know, the gateway name. So that gateway name was added. So I add that and move it up to the top. Go back to my list, and now you can see gateway name is at the top. So the changes take effect immediately. So I'll go ahead and act this alarm as well. I don't have any reports configured, but if I did, they would show up in here. I can log out real quick and use the demo system. So if I choose use demo, it's going to log me into one of the demo slots. And then you can see I have a lot more alarms in here. Go into reports. These are all the reports within the system. If I tap on one of the reports, it'll request all the information. So that's all real-time value. When I hit the request button, that's when I get the values for all these tags. They're not stored or cached. They're requested in real time. The settings menu is where you can access all the display formatting. If I want to turn on do not disturb mode, I can do that there. And if I want to submit feedback, which is what I want you guys to do, I can say suggest an improvement. It'll bring this window open. Make sure you put your email in here, otherwise I won't be able to, I don't know who's named I'm pulling out of the hat. So if I put my email, you can put your feedback. This isn't constructive feedback, I don't think, so don't write something like that. And it will take a screenshot for you. There's one already included. You can write on it and do whatever you need to do. You can take more screenshots if you need to. You can record your screen. You can select other pictures that you have saved on your phone and submit those. And so when you hit send, that's going to be sent to us, and we'll follow up with you. If you can also, again, submit feedback just by sending an email to beta@win911.com. And I think that's it for the demo. I think I've showed you guys everything in the app other than a push notification, which I just closed it out, and demo. We should probably take a while to wait for one. All right, so that is how you can set it up. So that was much quicker than it would be to set up mobile 911. You don't have to deal with device IDs or mobile 911 codes, as we call them. All you need to do is have a Microsoft account for your mobile clients, and when you add them into the WIN-911 system, you'll be able to log in to the mobile app and see alarms from your WIN-911 system. So I'll go back to our PowerPoint presentation. And how can you get the apps? If you want, you can scan these QR codes on your screen, but it's okay if you miss it, because I'll be sure to include the download links in that email I keep mentioning. You can actually, if you have an Android device, go straight to Google Play right now and search for WIN-911 Mobile, and it will show up in the Google Play Store. It should say early access or unreleased version, something like that. For Apple, it's a little bit different. We're distributing the app through Apple's test flight system. You can click, or you can follow that link or go to that link, and what you'll see is that you have to download the test flight app. That's an Apple app, and once you download that, you'll be able to download the WIN-911 mobile app. So this is a tool that Apple uses to allow developers to submit or create beta programs for mobile apps. So that is why we're doing it through test flight rather than submitting it directly to the App Store. Once you do that, you'll be able to install it, like I said, and be able to use it. So both apps have all the same features. They just look slightly different. You'll be able to use a demo system with both. Again, I'll send the download link for the iOS app following the webinar. It might take me a while because I need to send each one of these emails individually, because of the each one of those has its own account that I need to be sending out. All right, so that is the conclusion of the webinar. If you guys have any questions, we can answer them now. Do we have any questions, Cody?
I think I've answered a few of them. So the first one was, can we get a copy of this presentation? Absolutely, we'll send that out as a link to this recording afterwards. And then we did ask what was the schedule for launching this WIN-911 mobile, which I answered. It's going to depend mainly on the beta feedback that we receive. Certainly the beta is going to be run through July 1st, so it'll be sometime after that. But depending on what sort of feedback we get during this beta program, it could be quickly after July 1st or a little longer after July 1st.
Yep. That's it. Yeah, so it really depends on how the beta program goes. Again, we want to see how the system behaves, and once it's out in your hands, and what the performance load looks like, and what your feedback says about the app. So we don't have a set launch date at this time. We'll determine that later. Our current development effort after this beta program is to focus on version 4 of WIN-911, where we'll be implementing a lot of changes. For example, we're going to tackle redundancy this year. We'll see what we can do about supporting alarm suppression and shelving, and there's a whole list of features we're wanting to implement for version 4. So we'll let you know once we're ready to roll that out.
Another great question, can one user log into multiple devices? The answer to that is absolutely yes. We hope the experience is seamless across a phone and a tablet. If customers want to switch devices, end users want to switch devices.
Yeah, so you can, if you have one account, if you have a phone and a tablet, for example, you can sign into the same account and you'll get the same alarms on both systems. You can log, I don't believe we're limiting how many devices you can log into, so you can log into as many as you want. So yeah, that's not a problem. So while we're talking about that, the license, when the product is officially launched, We plan to replace Mobile 911 with the new mobile app. So the licensing will be the same. On the interactive level, you get 10 seats to Mobile 911, so you'll have 10 seats to WIN-911 Mobile. And in the advanced license, you have 25 seats, so you'll have 25 seats to WIN-911 Mobile. If you had an existing license of WIN-911 and you're current within your support with your support, then you'll be entitled to the WIN-911 Mobile upgrade once it's released.
Another question about firewall ports. Again, since everything is HTTPS over outbound initiated communications, there's no firewall exceptions that are necessary. We're able to effectively have two-way communications with that web app, but it's always as a response to a communication that was initiated from the WIN-911 site.
Yeah. It's the same thing. If you can access the internet from where the system's running from, so you can go to google.com, then WIN-911 Mobile is going to work. Now, if you can't, in the quick start guide that we'll send, like if your IT department is really locked down your network and they have to make explicit exceptions for every single bit of traffic, then in our quick start guide we have all the ports that we're using to communicate with the Azure services. So you can create those exceptions. And there's a question in here about Android recently started giving warning messages for the existing app or Mobile 911. And is there a plan to address that? Yeah, so the warning messages or what's triggering the warning message is that Google is moving away from the push mechanism that we're using for Mobile 911, which is called GCM, and they've moved to FCM, just Fire-based cloud messaging. And they're basically saying that after May, toward the end of May, push notifications will stop working for Android devices using GCM. So we've already made changes to our push servers to support FCM, but we haven't pushed those out to our push servers yet. But the main point that I'm trying to get across is that the existing Mobile 911 app for Android will continue to function. We may have to release an updated version of the app, but even if we don't, the push notifications will continue to function after GCM is discontinued by Google, which again is toward the end of May. So do we need to open HTTPS? We didn't need to do that before. No, I mean, you don't have to open that. I mean, again, when you go to your bank's website, that's all HTTPS traffic. So again, if you can just go to a website that uses HTTPS, then you can use WIN-911 Mobile without making any exceptions to your firewall or your router. But again, if this is in a plant where the IT team has really locked down everything and there's no internet connection available, then some exceptions would need to be made. For the beta, again, we're not supporting a distributed mobile module, so I can see that might be difficult if you're going to try to implement it in an actual plant environment. But for the public or the official release that we do, you will be able to distribute that so that you can run it in the DMZ and WIN-911 can still run in the control network. There's another question about not WIN-911 Mobile related, but when is OPC UA going to be available? I'm just reading these out because I don't know if everyone else can see these questions. We're going to start working on that toward the end of the year. We're targeting alarm and conditions first, and then we'll look at potentially supporting the data access server profile after that. But our priority for OPC UA is to support alarm and conditions. If I spin up a VM to run this beta, can it connect and run side by side with my production window? Yep, that's fine. It depends on what your data source is, of course, but yeah, there's no issues with that. And I don't see any more questions, and we're just about out of time. It's the hour. So if you have any more questions after the webinar, feel free to reach out to me. You can respond to the email that I send out to you guys. You can always ask sales@win911.com questions. Again, if you need help setting up anything, our product support team will be available to assist you with that. We hope you guys like the new app and participate in the beta program and submit a lot of feedback so we can be sure we're building what you guys want to use. So there's one more question real quick. Oh no, there's not. It's just not answered. All right, so that's that. So thanks everybody for attending the webinar. We'll be sending a recording of the webinar out to you guys so you can watch it. I'll put this PowerPoint presentation up on the mobile beta page as well, so you can download it and run through it yourself. And again, if you need anything, just reach out to us and let us know. Thanks, guys.